Welcome to Rave Sensation. I'm your host, Dan, and this episode is going to be a short look at this book, Boody, as in Boody Rogers, the comic artist. Started in the late 30s, I believe. I'm not sure when his career ended, but this is a collection of some of his comics done, put together by Craig Yo. And like I said, I'm not going to do a long review on this. I just wanted to point out a few things. He is one of the better of the screwball kind of humor magazines. He's got a great art style, really dynamic art, you know, and some really funny sight gags. I'm not going to go into a lot of it, but, you know, it covers a bunch of his characters. There's a little short history of him. My favorite is Babe. They start off with, you know, they got a couple of the Babe characters comics in here. This one's from Babe number 1, 1948, it says. And Babe is a hillbilly gal. She's beautiful. She, you know, Little Abner was popular at the time, but he says, but Craig asked him about how influential Al Cap's Little Abner strip was on this. And he goes, everybody was doing hillbilly comics at the time. That's pretty true. There were a lot of hillbilly comics. You know, they were an easy thing to make jokes about. There were a lot of stereotype things. But boy, when you see what a babe she is, you can't help but think of... you know, the young ladies in the Al Cap strips. And I don't even want to think about this guy's hand motion at the tongue that's going on there in that one. But yeah, so Babe is a super strong young woman. She gets into all kinds of shenanigans. She don't know her own strength, etc., etc. Here you see her home life. And you see how this guy's so hillbilly, he's smoking 2 corncob pipes. Yeah, so lots of stereotypes abound in those. They're funny. They're the usual. I mean, they'd still be using some of these same kind of gags by the time they were doing the Beverly Hillbillies. So you get the point. She's supposed to get, you know, her dad has kind of sold her out to this grotesque neighbor of theirs. He's so hideous. She'd rather marry him than have to kiss him. So I don't know what that's all about. Sparky Watts is another one of his characters, and he has all kinds of zany adventures. This one's from 1948. A scientist friend, you know, where I thought it was. I don't think it's him that invented it. No, there's the professor. He's the guy. He invented a serum that shrinks things, and you know, Sparky ends up getting shrunk, and he goes down to here. Now, I don't think these monsters are quite as good as, like, my favorite, Basil Wolverton, but they're pretty wild. This creature has human-looking ears growing out the sides of it, and you can use it like a horse. There's now this crazy hippopotamus-looking bug looks pretty much like a hippopotamus, but look, once it gets out of the water, it has a natural lazy boy for him to be in. And then the creatures just get wackier and wackier. You see, this is what's in your backyard, folks, all the time. You know, and they're too small for us to see them, but they're there. There's several of these adventures he has in this shrunk down world. And this one there's 2 sisters, and they want to marry him. And that's at first they're hiding behind the screen. Now, if you can't figure out that behind that screen is something grotesque, you should give up. But of course, that's what's behind the screen, is something like that. I wanted to point out this one. This is another character of his. Dudley. And the reason I like this is I like this strip because look at the way he draws the kids dancing and carrying on. Now, obviously, he's not a real rock and roll hepcat himself, but that's good drawing. That's great stuff. I mean, that's a lot of great action there. I really like this. Anyway, let's skip back here a little bit more. Here's Babe meets Miss Gooseflesh, who's getting in trouble for breaking people's necks. She's in court. We see her for breaking her second husband's neck. And they decide that they can make some money off of her, having her be a lady wrestler. And sure enough, look, she's so strong, she bends this metal dummy. She cracks that log. So the guy who tried to get Babe to be on his baseball team knows how strong she is, so he wants her to wrestle this woman. And so they're wrestling, and this woman cracks Babe's neck, and then Babe's like, gug. So her neck's cracked, and her head is just lolling back like that. And it's so gruesome that she doesn't die when she does, that Babe doesn't die when she does this. The Miss Gooseflesh says, I confess, I did it on purpose. I killed my 2 husbands. Take me away. I can't stand those pitiful eyes. And Babe just goes back home like nothing's going on. Oh, very good. Very good, Boody. And then there's some more Babes. And then here's how I first discovered Babe. The first time I saw Boody Rogers, the first time I saw Babe, this story, The Mysterious Case of Mystery Mountain, appeared in an issue of Raw magazine. I think it was one of the second volumes, the digest-sized volumes. And I was looking for it so I could show it. And I've got a couple of the volumes, some of those volume 2s of Raw behind me on the shelf here. Here's some of them. But neither of these are the ones with Babe in it. So maybe, well, I'm missing one of the 3, though. So it might be in that one. Or maybe I'm just misremembering it. It's one of the larger size issues of Raw. I don't remember now. But in any case, this is so good. Young women, this one, you know, the funny thing is Joe Stanton was an assistant for Boody Rogers, and Joe Stanton is famous for later on in his career, I guess maybe the 50s, maybe the 60s, he did artwork for fetish magazines. And I didn't know that when I originally read this story, but it kind of makes sense now. Young women are disappearing on Mystery Mountain and never returning to their families. So Babe, being the tough, very virtuous woman that she is, decides to go up to the mountain. Okay, and so there's the Mystery Mountain. These guys are up there. Look, Spot. I see another girl crawling towards the tunnel. Shall I whistle? Not yet, Wolf. Wait until she's near. She looks like a good strong one. We don't want her to get away. Okay, she's near enough. Give her your most enchanting whistle. So he's whistling. Heavens, I hear somebody whistling, and my feet is commencing to move towards the tunnel. So the mysterious whistle makes her come up through the entrance, and you know, after some, I'm not going to read the whole comic to you, but she comes up there, and this guy is going to lock this big, heavy iron door behind her. And she goes, you needn't bother locking the door. I can't stay. I got to go catch a fish for supper. No girl ever leaves Centaur Land. Once inside this door, she's in for life. And that's when we see they're centaurs. They're all male centaurs. So when I'm first seeing this and I hear about them not wanting them to leave, I was like, it can't possibly be because they have to mate with human women. I mean, Boody Rogers is really a clean-cut cartoonist. But I was like, this is really weird. And sure enough, they don't want to date them. They want to ride them. They use them for mounts. Ride them, cowboy. So he's riding Babe around. Because you see the horse part of them is really tiny. And then they have a lot of puns about, the way we treat horses. What if we were treated the way we treat horses? And then you see all these different things. And this is where all the girls disappeared to. All the mysterious disappearances is because these girls are all being used as labor and mounts here. Some of them have adapted to it better than others. She gets a new jockey who's entering her the big race, and so once the race gets started, you see there's what looks like the water pit there, but in actuality it's quicksand. They just colored it like water. I think it probably should have been some other color. Might have been the thing. But they just let the girls drown in there. Mercy, we got to pull them poor nags out. Don't be ridiculous. There's no bottom to it. They're 40 feet under by now. Get going. We're going to get behind again. And one collapses there, and he goes, it looks like it's the glue factory for this one. There's a metal spikes that they fall into. They have to run across hot coals. And finally, Babe is jumping over what she thinks is another obstacle, but she's going the wrong way. And the guy's going, turn, girl, turn. Don't jump that wall. Turn, turn. Stop pulling my mouth with your finger. You're ripping my glub, glub, glub. So she goes, but this is why he didn't want to, because it's the cliff on the plateau. So she goes falling down. She thinks she's going to die. She doesn't. So she goes back home. But instead of telling everyone, hey, the missing girls are up there, let's go up and save them, I is going to cover up my ears till I get out of whistling here in distance of the Mystery Mountain. I sure don't want to climb them steps again. I'm too tired. And I ain't never going to tell anybody about my being on top of Mystery Mountain. They would think I was either a fibber or a raving insane idiot. So she doesn't tell anyone. She doesn't tell. So all those girls are still up there undergoing this horrible torture, and those guys are going to try and capture more women. I'm not saying this makes Babe a bad person. I'm just saying for the hero of a comic book, I expected a little more of her. So anyway, that's Boody Rogers.